currently in the Ozark Mountains in Arkansas, looking at some plants, and you can see there's beautiful, diverse plant life. And then I also, it rained yesterday, so it's really a beautiful kind of mellow, not too hot, just really soothing energy in the forest right now. And we talked about peppergrass. We talked about wood sorrel. Oh, that's what I was mentioning when it cut off. There's a lactuca here, but this species here, as I will again mention, is ragweed. And the way you can tell ragweed from mugwort is you look on the underside, and if there's no silver sheen on the underside, then you have ragweed. Of course, you want to know poison hemlock, the difference between poison hemlock, but to me that doesn't look anything like poison hemlock. So ragweed gets a bad rap because of allergies. Of course, it is my feeling that allergies don't happen to us. We are not victims of allergies because of pollen, right? We are actually have compromised immune systems, and therefore we get allergies to substances that are actually supposed to be inert and actually nutritive to our body. Indigenous people ate pollen for thousands and thousands of generations, and now we're allergic to it because we sit in closed rooms with air filters that never get any dander or pollen to our systems until people go out for walks in nature, and then they just get pummeled. So, of course, I'm going to be posting on allergies soon, but raw local honey, stinging nettle tea with apple cider vinegar or lemon, and turmeric can also be very helpful. Of course, anything from the oak, right? Oak bark has quercetin, so they'll sell you that as a nutraceutical, but they won't necessarily tell you it's just oak bark. So those are some helpful things for allergies. If you get seasonal allergies, you should try a couple weeks in advance to start dosing yourself, because it really takes time to build up. Another plant that's really nice, this isn't it, but the sensitive plant. And so if you just tap them, they close their leaves, but that's a different one. It's one way to identify it, actually. And since I love this plant so much, I'll mention it once more. Venus looking glass, which is a really beautiful plant. I don't know any of the medicinal value of it other than just the magic and the sheer beauty of it. Very nice. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 petals, right? The sepals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sepals. 5 petals. Looks like 4 to 6 stamen. And then 1 pistil. And when you start counting like that, you can start narrowing things down by family. So that's a really important and fun thing. Also over here, there's some wild grapes. Of course, there's a couple wild grape lookalikes, so you don't want to mistake grapes for Canada moonseed, which is very toxic, Virginia creeper. So the safe bet is that forked tendrils tell you it's a grape. You can actually see the grapes. There's little baby grapes there, right? And then the grape leaves, of course, you can take these, roll them up, put them in a saltwater brine, ferment them, and make your own grape leaves, right? Those are all fun things. Of course, you can eat the tendrils if you want. And of course, grapes are great, especially wild ones, because wild ones still have the seeds, and the seeds are like 90% of the nutrition. So when we remove the seeds from our foods, we make them less rigorous nutritionally. So let's see how far we can go until we lose service. Again, poison ivy, leaves of 3, right? You can see young leaves there. And then one of the ways to tell poison ivy, right? Again, Virginia creeper. So Virginia creeper has 5 leaves and teeth all along the outer edge. And then poison ivy has 3 leaves and these kind of divots along the edge of the leaf, right? They always have this kind of like, it almost looks like a thumb, right? A hand and a thumb. So you don't want to eat poison ivy. How you know what you know? How do I know what I know? I don't know anything, actually. The plants know everything, and I believe that when you try to respect and appreciate nature, nature kind of channels through you, and so I think that it's a mixture of study, it's a mixture of spending time walking around observing. It's a matter of going to classes. It's a matter of looking at books, spending time in groups that talk about plants or mushrooms, and that kind of accumulates. Me personally, I got really into mushroom hunting when I was 19 or 20, and that's what really started it for me. I found my own mushrooms in the woods and ate them successfully and didn't die after lots of, verifying and everything. And that really just started to stimulate my desire to learn as much as I could about plants and nature and survival skills. And, that was probably in 2008, 2009. And then by 2010, I felt like, the whole hype with 2012 was, oh my God, everything's going to turn upside down. So I just figured, why not dive into practicing survival skills and learning what I can eat in the wild. And then, of course, that comes down to, well, those are the most nutritional things you can find anyway. And if you, as Frank Cook said, eat something wild every day, you're constantly supplementing. And so there's basically two options. One is to live out of a grocery store with very nutritionally inert foods. And the other one is to start supplementing with wild food. And then you're actually basically getting bioavailable vitamins. And what I mean by that is, like, instead of buying synthetic vitamins from the grocery store or green powder, right, then you eat a couple dandelion leaves and your body really knows what to do with that nutrition versus, nice, I see a nice one. Your body knows really how to assimilate and absorb that nutrition because it's ancient. It's an ancient relationship. Synthetic vitamins are not an ancient relationship, so there's a big difference. And just because you swallow 10,000 milligrams of this or that doesn't mean it absorbs into your system. And if you eat an orange, so if you eat 30,000 milligrams of vitamin C in a pill, you're going to urinate 99% of it out and you're wasting your money. If you eat an orange, your body knows how to assimilate the vitamin C from that orange much better than it does from the pill because there's something called synergy, right? So when you have a synergistic effect with all the other chemistry that's been co-evolving within that orange, just like then you've been eating that for eons and eons, that's going to absorb totally differently in your system. So just because you eat something doesn't mean it assimilates into your body. Hello, herbalist, the artisan, and the herbalist. Welcome, welcome. Here's a really awesome plant, one of my faves. This has a square stem, opposite leaves, and it's actually flowering, and it's a bilaterally symmetrical flower. And this is actually Prunella vulgaris, or heal-all. And this is a really interesting mint because it doesn't have an aromatic scent in the least bit. And so this herb is kind of a mystery as a mint family plant because it's called heal-all, it's called heart of the earth, and that really indicates that somebody really thought it was a very special herb, but the question is how to apply it. So when I was in North Carolina, maybe 2013 or so, I was speaking with some Cherokee elders, and they talked about how the way they applied heal-all is similar to how in traditional Chinese medicine they apply licorice, which is kind of a systemic, so it helps to potentiate the other herbs into your body. So I apply heal-all in formulas for maybe cold, flu, Lyme, inflammation, any other issues where I want to drive the chemistry of the other herbs deeper into the tissues, right? That's what it seems to really help with. So heal-all, Prunella vulgaris, also called heart of the earth. So those are really beautiful common names, which indicate that somebody thought it was really special. Let's see what else we find here. Of course, along these banks, there could always be like little cinnabar chanterelles. With mushroom hunting, it's more like there's either mushrooms or there's not. And so if you keep observing and taking consensus of the most optimal place to find any mushroom, like for example, see how this tree is with the roots exposed and all this soil here and all the moss? If there was like cinnabar chanterelles in here somewhere, then I would know how to kind of start looking into the forest for other mushrooms. But if I continue to not see any, then I'm not going to sit there and start looking as readily for mushrooms. Now, it did rain last night, rained a whole bunch, and usually it takes about 3 to 4 days for the mushrooms to come out after the first rain. Here's a nice fun one, which is all over the place. 5 leaves, blackberry, right? And so blackberry has a lot of medicinal and edible uses. Of course, we know blackberries in the grocery store. The underside of the leaf and the stem is full of thorns, so you got to be careful. But the blackberry leaf makes a really great tea that tastes somewhat like black tea. It's very astringent. The blackberry root is used for diarrhea, but that is not to treat diarrhea, that's to stop diarrhea. And that's not necessarily a treatment protocol, right? Because your body's trying to get something out of you like a virus or a bacteria. There's no antiviral or antibacterial aspects to blackberries, so you'd want to combine it with something, whatever that is, ginger, yarrow, something antimicrobial, and then it will be a helpful remedy. You don't want to stop yourself from flushing out something that needs to get out alone, unless you were, risking severe dehydration, etc. So then there's a bunch of, if you didn't see, I just added a whole bunch of things, pictures of the story into my stories, and one of the plants I was talking about was smilax, and this is one of my favorite. Gosh, I'm all about favorites today. Maybe it's just because I finally got back into the woodlands, right? So this is all my familiar friends from back east, and I've been just in the desert for like 4 months, and I haven't seen soil really. So I'm really excited and elated about that. So these smilax shoots, catbrier or greenbrier, they have thorns, right? But at some point, the thorns give way and are soft. And so you can see these kind of shoots here, right? And that's called a meristem. A meristem is basically like the sensitive tip of a plant, which is sensing its way through the environment, figuring out where to put these tendrils and hook onto so that it can grow up them. So here's an example, right? It's growing up this pea family plant. It's honey locust, and it's actually got its tendrils wrapped around these leaves. So that is an intelligent sensing process, right? They are sensing each other. They're sensing everything. And so if you find the meristem, right, like on this one, and you just bend, oh, look at that, dropped right off. Here is a smilax shoot, right? And these are so good. So I eat as much of them as I can. And those are really great wild edible